What's going on, everybody? It's Q from Retro Q Game, and I want to weigh in on something that's going on at the moment in the gaming community. Something that, depending on how you look at it, I'm either not qualified enough to talk about at all, or I'm completely qualified to talk about it. And I'll throw my own opinion on it as well. Now, the big controversy and the big issue that everyone's having these days is when it comes to Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Now, this game is from Software. Well, from Software. You know the studio, From Software. They're the ones that make it. And it's one of the Dark Souls style game, or the Dank Souls style games, I like to call them, because they're basically memes at this point. But anyway, when it comes to that, I realize that someone is already in the comment section going, oh, it's not like Dark Souls. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. You know what I'm getting at. Even if it doesn't exactly mimic Dark Souls like some people would want it to, or Bloodborne like some people would want it to, it's the same vein as those games, especially when you consider that I've played a lot of From Software games back on the PS1, PS2, GameCube, etc. And they were very, very different to what Dark Souls games, Bloodborne, and Sekiro are like. And the big problem is that generally these games are considered very hard. Now, I don't know about that personally, but if some of the old stuff from Software is to go by, yeah, King's Field is a bitch. That's all I can say. But anyway, going along and sticking with Sekiro, and I won't really go with Dark Souls, but we'll mostly focus on Sekiro. So a lot of people are saying this game is hard as nails. Now, that's probably a good thing, especially for the crowd it's aimed at, considering that the Dark Souls fans and the Bloodborne fans and all really only get off on the fact that the game is difficult, not that it's possibly good or possibly lore or possibly whatever reason, but they seem to only get off on the fact that it's difficult. Now, to each their own, you can like that if you want, I don't care. But this game, Sekiro, is kind of lauded as too hard. Now, from what I understand, it's much more fast-paced and dynamic than the likes of Dark Souls. It's got a lot of verticality, which is something that was basically completely absent from Dark Souls, for all I know at least anyway. And everything is just more faster paced. The dodging system is basically replaced by a parry system, as far as I know, unless you can manage to actually dodge with the hook shot, the grappling hook, whatever it is. But in essence, the principle is the same. You don't get hit, be it a parry or a dodge or a roll or a hook shot, whatever it is. And you probably leave yourself, or not so much leave yourself, but you probably have to do it to get yourself into a point where you can do I think it was called a critical kills, the critical attacks or something. The one where you attack from behind and you get the like weird little animation that does massive damage. I've seen one or two people play Dark Souls games before, so I've seen that little part of it at least anyway. I know that is a thing. I'm not 100% sure on the details of it, but you know what I'm talking about. You people that are familiar with the games in the series, you know what I'm talking about. Now, anyway, back to the point of this. This game is considered very, very difficult, and a lot of people have been calling for difficulty settings, like an easy mode or something like that. Now, I'm typically not adverse to different difficulty settings in games. Usually you boot up a game and the first thing you're greeted by is easy, normal, hard, or some extra specific difficulty. But when it comes to these games, the From Software games, not so much the From Software games actually, because that kind of implies they're held to a different standard because of who they are and the games they make. No, I actually have two different trains of thoughts when it comes to why I support From Software in not including difficulty settings in their game. I have two different logics behind it, even though they both support the same point. And again, this is coming back from, let's call it an era, where you have people, official, quote, games journalists, unquote, from the same website who are speaking against getting a difficulty setting and speaking for it within a day of each other. And overall, I feel like this controversy, or whatever you want to call it, is just blown completely out of proportion. So like I said, I believe that they should not have a difficulty setting in their game for two specific reasons. The two reasons that I believe they won't have one, or that they shouldn't have one, are as follows. Reason number one, and this is probably the most important reason out of both of them, or out of any possible reason if you ask me. The people who make this game, the developers, the design directors, the creative talent, all these people have a vision for their game. They have made the vision for their game. It is a very hard, very difficult game, or at least through their own design and choices and their vision for the game, it has ended up being a very difficult game. And to me, that's the most important reason when it comes to anything to support them not having a difficulty setting in this game. Because at the core principle of it all, their design, their goal, their whatever you want to call it, their dream, their vision, their creative baby was to have what we have now. This game in its current form is as close to their original vision that they wanted to create that they could accurately portray. And I'm a big proponent of people creating the closest thing to their vision that they can. Not just having to shoehorn in something extra or take something out because of censorship. Games are an extremely creative medium, and I support any developer who wants to have their creativity represented in their proper vision in their final product, regardless if it's extremely easy, extremely difficult, extremely controversial, or whatever the topic. And moving on to the second point, this one is more so just something that I've always maintained over the last, I don't know, probably 10 if not 15 years. It really became apparent during the 7th console generation, but it is extra apparent nowadays as well. And I guess you could call it kind of a meme, but basically I'm telling everyone, get good. When you look at games over the last 10, 15 years, like I said, since the start of the 360 era onwards, everything has been dumbed down so much. Most modern games are so easy by comparison, for a multitude of reasons. Things like not having to manage your health properly because almost every first-person shooter has regenerating health at this point. Thank you, Doom 2016, for doing away with that. But a big problem with games is that a lot of the time they just want to tell the story and they put the gameplay second. So they dumb it down so much so that they can literally drag everyone through the game just to get through it and we'll call it finish the story, experience the story, just because. And at the same time, this goes with the first one too. You're playing a game, you're not watching a film, you're not watching a TV show, you're playing an interactive medium. Some of the key design choices will be the interactivity and the nature and gameplay of the entire thing. Let me give you a really good example of how this can be implemented extremely poorly. Let's look at a couple of Battlefield games. In Battlefield 3 and 4, you could just sit around and do nothing in the main story. You could just sit in an open area and most times your NPCs would just progress without you, killing all the enemies, and then you can just be free to waltz through the dead bodies just to continue on the story. Of course, that's not the entire game, but there are a lot of parts where that's the case. It essentially removes the gameplay from the video game. All because they wanted to try tell some cinematic narrative story in a Battlefield game. So no, modern games have gotten so easy, so dumbed down, that people have let their skills get dull. It's happened to me in one or two specific genres that I haven't played in a billion years. But once I get going and I get practicing back into the swing of things, I am absolutely flying with them. So no, everyone, you don't deserve an easy difficulty setting. Get good. Accessibility is not difficulty. At least not in the sense you want it to be. And remember, I say this as someone who has zero investment and zero stock in the Souls series. In fact, just to prove my point, going forward at some point in 2019, I'm actually going to play my first Dank Souls game ever. Going to do it live on stream, no hand holding, no research, no anything. And I'm going to show you that an actual good gamer can destroy these games with natural skill, natural talent. There won't be 150 deaths in an entire playthrough. Why? Because I'm damn good at what I do. Anyway, let me know in the comments section below what you think about the whole situation with Sekiro. Does the game deserve a difficulty slider? Does everyone else deserve a difficulty slider? Should every game have a difficulty slider? Should there be automatic adaptive difficulty? Or should the devs be commended or lauded for their choice to not include one? Or maybe just like Nier Automata, Dank Souls games and Sekiro just aren't for you. Let me know all that in the comments section below. Hit the appropriate button to let me know how I did on the video. And while you're at it, why not head on over and hit the subscribe button and even ring the little notification bell. Granted, getting a notification from YouTube in current year about a video upload or a live stream or whatever is a whole other story. But hey, at least you can say you tried, am I right? As always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the rest of the videos in my channel.